Welcome to Carry On, our weekly roundup of aviation and business travel news with Nevil Gibson. So Nevil, Airbus has landed another big order in China. Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, I think this is more about politics than aeroplanes because we're talking here about a subsidiary of China Southern Airlines, which is Xiamen Airlines, which is an internal one, although it does fly a few international flights around China. They've bought 40 A320 Neos. It's the first time they've switched from Boeing. In fact, China Southern is a big user of Boeing, but since the MAX 737 fiasco with the two fatal crashes, China was the first to ground these aircraft. Then they got into a dispute with the United States, and so Airbus has been picking up a lot of orders. The Airbus hadn't had any orders at all, though it's got a factory there. But in July, 4 of the Chinese airlines, and these are all owned by the government and presumably controlled by them, bought 40 Airbuses, and now we've got this big order of more like 200 rather, and now the latest order is for 40 A320s, and they're worth, if you sell them at the list price, which they usually get a discount, is nearly $5 billion.
And I see that British Airways and Qatar Airlines are also extending their partnership.
Yeah, this is a partnership where you've basically got one ticket and you've got one joint loyalty program, so it's much easier. It's the same. It's called Avios, and now they're integrating all of their network, and that's 2 of the biggest networks in the world. And they're boasting that they're now the 2 most connected airlines, and they've got the superior, because they've integrated more of their operations and the ticketing and that sort of thing, it's superior to what you might get from One World or Star Alliance, because it's one big loyalty program and the joint cabins and that sort of thing, and lounges.
Your column also looks at how the Australians are embracing world travel at the moment.
Well, we're finally getting some figures, and you get them from arrivals and departures, but these are figures collected in Canberra on the actual loadings of every aircraft that flies internationally, and they reported for the figures in July that some airlines like Etihad were running at 100% capacity, which is huge, and Qantas, which has got many more flights, it's running at over 95%. So that shows the kind of demand, and I imagine that those July figures are still continuing through till the end of this year.
Yet Hong Kong is really hanging on to their COVID restrictions, aren't they?
Yeah, they have eased them back again. You don't have to go into a hotel for a quarantine. You can do that at your normal accommodation and do it, but you're not allowed to go into restaurants and so on. So they basically can't lift the restrictions, but it has allowed Cathay Pacific to announce many more flights, and in October they're going to be lifting the number of flights to 200, so that's pretty good for them, because they're one of the few airlines that really haven't been able to make any recovery at all because of the restrictions in Hong Kong.
And Israel's airline is heading for Japan?
This is El Al. They've been trying to get into Japan since 2019. That was before the pandemic. And then they tried again in March 2020. But this time they're looking at March 2023. First flights are going to be from Tel Aviv through to Tokyo. The interesting thing here is that they're now able to fly through Saudi airspace. Before, they had to take a sort of a long route because the nearest places in Asia they fly to are Thailand. But they still haven't got an agreement from Oman yet that they can fly there. But as soon as both Saudi and Oman airspace is available to the carriers from Israel, you'll see more of them coming into Asia, but Japan's their first stop. And Melbourne's going to be not far behind, I hope.
Finally, the Skytrax World Airline Awards are out.
Yes, they came out last weekend. They had their first sort of personal presentation for 2 years, and it's Qatar Airways. They've won it for 7 times out of about 10 years, and they're winning this one on the trot. Number 2 is Singapore Airlines, followed by Emirates. Down in the low-cost carrier, Air Asia also has a kind of a stranglehold on the award. They won it, and Scoot came through as the low-cost operator long haul. And surprise, surprise, Ryanair, and we all know what it's like to fly on Ryanair, they won the European one. So there's been a big improvement there, because these awards are judged by travelling public, and you're talking about 14 million customer surveys were done to collect these awards.
And how did Air New Zealand do?
Oh, they were down at 30th place in the world, which they dropped actually, so that's not too good.
Neville, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.